Hello, everybody. I'm Lyndon Thorpe. Welcome to Peace and Wealth. And Marleen is here, so I'll just bring her onto the stage so we can start to talk. Here she comes. Hi, Marleen. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, I'm a bit sleepy, but it's it's
I know about that.
it's really early in the morning here, so well, not really, but quite early for me.
What time
Um,
is it?
It's 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
It's not so early, but yeah, I've had a busy week. Have you had a busy week?
Oh, absolutely. You absolutely know. It's been a week of personal challenges, taking care of being a caregiver, as I shared with you. Had another little setback with my husband, so we had to take care of that. Plus, I was closing out a contract and had to get that taken care of. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy week. Even though we just completed the 4th of July celebration, I didn't do any celebrating because I was in the hospital with my husband, but it was
Oh, wow.
busy, and I did take your advice. I took the time to just breathe and say, "Okay, I need to exhale and take a break from the madness that I was creating, actually." So I did.
Mm.
So yes, I said, "There's no celebration here. I am going to
Oh,
relax."
oh gosh.
Yes. Get as
Oh
much rest as I
dear.
possibly can, and I did.
That was bad timing, wasn't it, really?
No,
But,
actually, you know what? To be quite honest, as we always say when we talk about, actually here where we talk about peace and wealth and being more aware of yourself and in tune to who you are, this was actually ordained, as we say, because I don't remember if I shared with you this. I think it's for about two weeks. We have in our community advent. Yes, we have camp meeting, and camp meeting. It's in Pennsylvania. I'm in Maryland, and this is in Pennsylvania. And
ah,
everyone goes up there. But
mm,
what we usually do, my daughter and I, we would go up for the closing Sabbath, which would have been the 4th of July.
ah,
And because it was the 4th of July, we were thinking, it's like, gosh, 4th of July, do we really want to be caught up in traffic or, like fireworks or anything going on there
mm,
on our way back? So we opted to go the opening weekend,
I see.
which was the week before. So, like I said, it all worked out well. So we got our blessing. It was great. And of course, you know what happened for the 4th of
Yeah.
July. You were in the hospital. So again, it was ordained. It worked out just the way it needed to be, because if we were there on the 4th of July, I wouldn't have been able to drag my husband off to the hospital to take care of the
Mm,
challenge that he had. So
sure,
again,
sure.
it worked out well. It absolutely
Brilliant.
worked out well.
Brilliant. Yes, and I think if we really listen with our hearts to our lives instead of analyzing and calculating and so on all the time, then we do follow the right path. I've found that throughout my life, that my head may be saying, oh, don't do this, you shouldn't do this, but my heart is saying, yes, this is it. And so it's a question of pushing aside all the analyses and calculations and
Exactly.
just coming back to you and your heart and what feels right
Yeah.
for you.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely, and like I always say, because talking to my daughter when we were going over this, she initially she's like, well, we've never been up there for the start, so what is it gonna be like? I say, hey, we're
yeah,
gonna find out, won't we? Let's
yeah,
go and let's go and find out what happened, and we did, and she really liked the
you,
experience.
you
So
enjoyed it.
again, everything, like you said, when we take that time to just and analyze our situation instead of just jumping ahead and making irrational decisions, when
Yes,
we stop and just analyze the situation, we make better choices, and it always works out well.
yes,
Always
that's
works out
right. That's right. And it's so wonderful to hear the way you talk about this experience because for me, and I think for everybody really, we our life, our human life, is the most extraordinary opportunity to learn not just knowledge and information and all of that stuff, but to learn spiritual things and to overcome all sorts of obstacles that we probably think are so difficult to overcome. But in fact, I believe human beings can overcome anything. We can transcend anything. And so,
Absolutely. I am with you on that 100%. I strongly believe that. If we set our minds to it, we can achieve it.
yeah,
But we have to, like we've been saying time and time again, we have to believe in ourselves, know who we
yes,
are and whose
yes,
we are, so that we can make that leap and achieve it. Yeah. There
yes,
just, I mean, there's so many experiences of people who are doing extraordinary things, and we go
yes,
like, ah, but no, again, it's a mindset.
yeah,
I know this, like, I want to do this. Now, of course, with that mindset, of course, we have to be realistic also, because you know that it involves training. We've got other things that we need to do to get there. But once you have your mindset on it, you will
yes,
go ahead and you will overcome all of the challenges, because challenges, whenever we set huge goals, there will be challenges along the way, and you
mm,
can overcome those.
yeah,
But you have to be in that right frame of mind, and again, and know and trust who you are, so that you can take that leap. You absolutely can take that leap. And I can give you an example of this from a working standpoint.
mm,
um, I had a contract that I was working on with a group of partners, let's say partners that we were working with. And one of the things I always stress with everyone, the phrase we say, reading is essential. I noticed that these highly educated women were not reading
oh,
what
really?
we no, they were not, absolutely not reading what we
Mm,
said we were going to do in this contract. And
mm,
in so doing, like we said, I knew this is not what they're doing, but we
uh,
have to think about the client interest, what the client asked us for, what we said we were going to deliver. So,
mm,
to make a long story short, I ended up completing the whole project because these women chose not to read the
oh,
contract.
oh God,
And like I said, you would think this was a four-person project, and how on earth did I end up completing the whole thing? Again, mindset, because I said, this is what we said we were going to deliver to the clients. This is
mm,
what they expect of us. What do I need to do to ensure that we get this done?
mm,
Without the help of my partners, who were just going back and forth with different ideas and stuff. And I was like, are we reading the phase that we said we would deliver for each phase? What are you guys talking about? So I said, look, I'll just go ahead and I'll get this done. And they were looking at me like, how are you going to do it? Because this is not what we're seeing. And I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. And I did. So, again, you have to get in that right frame of mind and get it done. And we got it done.
yeah,
And I kind of over delivered, but the clients were happy.
oh,
They were
super,
absolutely floored
oh,
with the work
super,
that was completed, and it was done on time, completed on time, which was another thing. That was one of their challenges. Again, when
yeah,
you look at people, you have to realize what was the challenge, why we were why we were asked to help with this project. One of the problems, this project that they were working on with their team, it was over 3 years they were trying to get this done. We did it in 6 months.
wow,
Six
brilliant,
months. We had a 6-month time frame, and we did it. And I knew that that was one of their challenges. Again, when you
yeah,
stop and we analyze the situation, we realize it's like, okay, this is the challenge they've been having. They are not consistent with their timing. Every
mm,
time they start this project, something comes up or they some excuse, and it's like, we'll get to it. And it's a
right,
3-year time frame, and they realized they still didn't have this completed. So when we came in, that was one of the first thing I observed. And I said, we cannot, under any circumstances, go past the designated timeline we set,
mm,
because we're going to set the precedence. Like, we're going to show you how we can get this done in the set time. So we're actually teaching you, showing you, the client,
wow,
how. we can actually get this achieved within that 6-month time frame. And like I said, this was a 3-month time. 3 years, I'm sorry, that they were working on this project, and we absolutely got it done in
Excellent.
6 months.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. But yeah, that's a super example because, time, of course, is, what can I say? Well, the expression "we try to kill time" always creases me up because that's, you know, why do we need to kill time?
Yeah.
Time is a very strange thing, but I really feel that, your urge to get this done within that time frame is so on the ball because, yeah, people are working to different schedules and, they have anticipation and expectation of all this. So yeah, we have to stay within the bounds of the killer time or the time.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want it to run away with us, but in that same time, we don't want to waste the time that we have that's been given to us because again, like we said, we don't know if we'll be here
Mm.
tomorrow or what's gonna happen.
Mm. Yeah.
Perfect example, with my husband having this injury again, ended up in the hospital. Who would have thought? And
Yeah.
like I said, on the 4th of July, we're in the hospital. But
Yeah.
these things, we still have to prepare. You have to continue living and you have to prepare for whatever the outcome is. Because again, I always feel in my mind, whatever happened, the stage that we're going through, even though sometimes we put ourselves in trouble, God always works it out for us in the long run. So we just have to stay the course and stay focused. I think one of the things that the pastor had spoke about for that sermon, he said that we have to prepare ourselves. You have to be prepared for your blessings. And when he said that, prepare yourself for your blessings, he's like, just like what we were just talking about, human beings, we know for a fact that they can achieve whatever they set their
Yeah.
minds to do. But while
Yeah.
you're in that waiting period, while you're working on that, he said you have to prepare. So you have to be in that state of gratitude and praise where you're
Mm.
grateful and you're
Mm.
thankful, even though you're not there yet. You don't see where you're going, but you still,
Mm.
again, set that mindset where you positively know that this is going to happen and you train yourself to just think positive through this whole process, not to be negative. It's like, yes, this is going to happen. Okay, we had a little shortfall here, but look, we're going to take this direction. We're still going to
Mm.
be happy. We're going to praise through this process. And I
Mm.
think, and I know for a fact when we talk about how, to just breathe, that in essence is exactly what I feel
Yeah.
this whole process is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to take that time and to just breathe and know that where you are is not your final destination and better is coming. It is coming, but again, it's
Yeah.
how we approach it and how we think
Yeah.
about where we're going, the road that we're going on.
Yes.
It's
I
life is a
mean,
journey.
yes, yes, yes. Really, it's a question of self-trust, isn't it? And
Yeah,
that's another of my big things. I'm always talking about self-trust because, at the end of the day, everything begins with self and ends with self. And
absolutely.
so if we don't trust ourselves, of course, we're going to really panic. We're going to really generate a lot of fear, fear of failure, fear of looking a fool, whatever it is. So that trusting of oneself and one's blessings, as you put it, and I love that, is essential for anything. And clearly you totally trust yourself. Me too. I mean, it may look to the outside world, and people often say this to me, they often say, how can you do that? You'll never get that done. What are you thinking? And I say, I will do it. Even if I have to stay up all night, I will do this.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we do. we
Yes.
know. So,
Absolutely. And it's like you said, that's because we know who we are. We we
yes.
we trust ourselves. We know, like I always say, my whole what's your I am theory. You have to know who you are. Okay. We cannot keep molding ourselves against everyone else's successes.
No.
And we do that way too often. You
Yes.
know, we
Yeah.
have to stop. It's like it's okay for you to be happy or to say, hey, it's great that they're doing that. I like how they're doing that. But you don't pattern yourself to say that I want to be like that person. I want to have the success that they have. Because again, you don't know what they're actually doing or what they did to get to where they are, because we only see things on the surface. Okay. So
Mm.
yes, by all
Mm.
means, you can be great. You can say, hey, this is great. I love what this person is, but who are you? How can you work this into your success
Yeah.
as a person, not you wanting to be like that person? And
No.
I feel like we get caught in that trap over and over and over again, sometimes to the point where we don't even realize it, because we want to be like everybody else. We want to be like
Mm.
that person.
Mm.
We
I
have to
think
stop.
it's extraordinary that humans do that, because just look at your hands. Everybody out there, your
Yes,
LinkedIn, you look at
they
your fingers, and your
unique.
fingerprints
Hmm.
are unique,
Absolutely.
absolutely unique. You know,
Yes.
and so if we can only take that into our lives and realize we can't ever, never be like anybody else,
No.
ever. And so who would want to be? I mean, it's strange, isn't it? I always been a bit of a loner, I think, really, and I've always had a strong vision for what I can do in the world from being quite young, very,
Hmm.
very young. And always kind of, people would look at me and say, "Oh, she's different. She's different." Yes, I'm so glad I stuck to that, because I am different.
Yes, absolutely. We're the same. That word, being an introvert, it's something I heard along the way, but that essentially is who we are, because we internalize and we are preserving who we are. Like I was the kid that, to be quite honest, people thought I was my sister when we were growing up,
Wow.
because they a lot of times they didn't realize that I existed, that my father had four girls and not three as they were thinking. Because of course, my other sisters, they were out there, they were loud, as to say, they were loud and they were doing their thing. I, on the other hand, I was always the one who would go to school, come back home, get my homework done, read, play with my dolls. I didn't like being outside. I
Mm.
stayed inside. And we lived, the ocean, I always tell people, was our backyard. Now, I didn't go in the ocean because I didn't particularly care for those waves, but I would come home and go to the ocean, just sit there and just watch the waves, look at shells and stuff like that. And people really didn't realize, until actually when we started going to separate high schools, they realized that, wait, there's another one. Who's this one? But they all people always, in our neighborhood, we call it our village, they always assumed that I was my sister.
Mm.
And it was
Interesting.
okay with me, to be quite honest. It was
Yeah.
okay with me. I had no problem with that. But it's
Mm.
only after my sister's the one who told me that. She's like, you realize people think that you're me. I said, oh, really? She's like, yeah, every
Mm.
time. And our maiden name is Mitchell, so we were always referred to as Mitchell's daughters. Oh, there's Mitchell's daughter. There's a Mitchell daughter. And then they're like, who's this one?
Interesting. Interesting.
I am a Mitchell's daughter too. They didn't even know I existed. They did not know I existed. But it's the choices that we make, especially, like I said, from growing up, and that has been me. Now, if you get me into a conversation, I will talk your head off. But I am not the one to initiate a conversation unless I absolutely have been asked. And I love that for me, because I am not the one, as we call, the life of the party. No. I am that person who would prefer to stay at home and just enjoy nature, my surroundings, things that we
Mm,
have, you know, and
mm,
that is okay with me. I have no problems with that.
oh, that's
You,
wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you on the other hand, you know, you like to go out and have fun. Go, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
This is what makes me happy, being
Yes.
inside and at peace with myself.
Yes. Yes. Well, me too. I mean, yeah, I have a very kind of quiet, contemplative side, but I'm also quite an extrovert. So,
Yes.
I do all these live sessions and so on. And so, yeah, I find I've got a real balance with that. And most of all, most importantly of all, I know myself. And like
Yeah.
you do, I know my boundaries, and I will say very honestly, no, I can't do that, or yes, I
Hmm.
will do that. And so we are authentic. We're being ourselves. It's our true nature,
Yes.
and the way we live
And
demonstrate
what's
that.
wrong with that?
No,
What
no,
is wrong with that?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, everybody out there, it's wonderful when you realize who you are
Hmm.
and what you want and how you want to live, and B, you set your boundaries so other people know who you are and they respect those
Yeah,
boundaries.
and that's an important word that I know a lot of us take for granted, and we misconstrue that word too. Boundaries. When we say boundaries, a lot of times people think it's like, oh, you're being selfish when you create boundaries, but
Yes,
no, that is to preserve, like we said, who you are,
yeah,
who we're becoming, because we're not the same. You know, we keep evolving, but in order for us to evolve, we have to, like you said, set boundaries. We
mm,
have to learn that the word no is a complete sentence, and that self care is not selfish, because people tend to make you feel that way when
yeah,
you're like, okay, this is, like you said, this is not for me. It's okay for you. I'm fine with you doing it, but it's not for me. They look at you
mm,
like, well, that's rather selfish of you. But no, we have to be intentional with
mm,
our boundaries, and we have to stick to
yeah,
them, because again, we are evolving, so we do change. It's not the same,
yes,
and we know that, but again, like you said, Linda, we have to know who we are. We have to be comfortable, as they say, in our skin, and we
yeah,
have to set those boundaries so that we can stay there and we can continue to grow, because we're not stagnant. We're human beings. We
mm,
age every single day, and so should we, with our growth. But we can't grow
yeah,
if we want to be like everybody else, or if you stay in a position because
no,
you're so confused now, you don't
mm,
know who you are. And I,
mm,
I admit that has happened to me. I did, I'm in a relationship, you're doing everything for everyone else, and you just disappear. Your personality, who you are, it's becomes null and void, because again, like we said, like I was sharing, people thought I was my sister as an adult, in relationship. Everyone knew, I was known as, my children's mother. They didn't know my name because I was out
mm,
there doing everything for everyone. And I had to take stock and say, what who really am I? What do I like? What brings me joy? And it takes some time, but I think once you get to that position, it's something that you keep working on, because
mm,
again, it's really, really quick for you to just get rid of that, for it to go away. So it's something that we have to keep working on, but
yeah,
you have to make that first decision. You have to realize that first. And
mm,
that, I know, is where your work comes in, where you say, hey, let's do a deep dive and let's see what exactly is going on with you.
yeah,
And
yes,
for me,
yes,
mine would be, it's like, who are you? That's where I always start with
yeah,
any new client. Let's evaluate where you are, and let's
yeah,
understand who you are as a person. And 85% of the time I get questions like, well, I don't know.
mm,
Wait. And that's right, because we're so involved in everything and taking care of
mm,
everyone. My favorite line I always tell people, and it's the truth. I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yes, I like that.
I tell them
Yeah,
it's the
that's
truth because I
yeah.
did that. My children always told, well, they're my adult children. They told me that. They say, "Mom, you're an enabler," and I'm like, I had to come to that reality because I wanted to do everything for everyone. Wait, you want me? No, let me take care of this for you. No, 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 don't do this. I got this. Okay, let me help you with this. And they told me point blank, you are an enabler. And it's the truth. And I did that with my family. I did that with the people I work with, people I come into contact with. I always want to take care of everyone and help everyone. And in that process, you lose yourself. So it is
Yes, yes.
really important, like you just mentioned, we have to set boundaries and we have to stick to those boundaries because it's
Yeah.
not easy to create boundaries because, again, people look at your boundaries as you being selfish. And you
Mm.
have to understand how important it is for you to have those boundaries because
Absolutely.
you can't have, as we say, we can't have that peace and wealth without
Mm.
boundaries. You
No,
just,
no, that's right. And I think the self is so important. It's a complete myth that if we take care of ourselves, we're being selfish. That's
Mhm,
a real misunderstanding, I think. Everything boils down to balance, doesn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
if we are totally ignoring or neglecting ourselves, we're lacking self-compassion. We may have oodles of compassion for other people, but
Hmm.
that's not the point because compassion starts with the self. And
Yes,
if you can't love and protect and enable yourself, as you mentioned, being an enabler for others, then how can you genuinely look after others and enable them? So for me, it all starts inside. And of course, that's where the embodiment work comes. And things like self trust. Well,
mm,
self trust, you may think that's a very kind of pretty phrase, but in fact, it's a state of being, it's a nervous system state. And
absolutely.
we're born with this state of trust, and we trust usually our parents, and we're very close to mother and so on, and breastfeeding and all that is all about that incredible bond. And that creates this incredible trust inside a child.
Hmm.
Then, of course, we start to get socialized, we start to go out, we start to seek everything outside, and we forget that inside, we've got all these incredible states of being. So, in many ways, what I call the limited mind, this wonderful
Yes,
set of tools that we absolutely need, interferes with those very natural states,
absolutely.
so that we lose balance. We're out of balance. So I think it's really important every day. And I run something called Mindful Moments, as you
Yeah.
know, 3 times a week, which will give you a 30-minute mindful guidance session where you really go inside and you really find out what's in there and who you are. And of course, the body starts to remember because the body never forgets. Once we step away from
Hmm.
this, the body starts to remember, that's who I am. Oh, yeah, I'm starting to really feel myself. And people say to me, yeah, I'm really getting closer to myself now. I can really remember who I am. And of course, as you mentioned, this is changing all the time. There is nothing more permanent than change. It's the only
Hmm.
thing we can predict, really. And if you think of all those millions of cells in your body, they're constantly changing, and everything we think ripples through those cells. And we are
Absolutely.
everything we think and say. Um, and so language is so important, but also the very thoughts are important. I mean, if we start to really deprecate ourselves or criticize ourselves, that's running through your body. And this is where burnout happens. People for
Hmm.
so many years have been self-critical, self-deprecating. You know, I'm working with someone at the moment who's 90 this year. And when we got to the bottom of things, as you say, I kind of wanted to dive down and get to the bottom of everything. And it turns out that her whole life has been dominated by the words her father said to her when she was 6. So father said to her, she was a pianist, very good pianist at a very young age. So she's saying things like, oh, I feel like I want to be Beethoven, you know, this childish fantasy. So father said, who do you think you are? Now that gives me goose pimples. Who do you think you are? I mean, parents are in such difficult position, I know, and every word they say counts, and sometimes they don't say the right words.
Yeah.
But this phrase has stayed with her. It's dogged her all her life. And she actually said to me, oh, if only I could get rid of this phrase. And so that's what we're working on. And we're working on replacing that phrase with other things. So, you know, even something that's said to you when you're really young can dominate all your cells and can influence your anatomy and physiology. Your language is so powerful. So we
words, I'm telling you, words they can make or break you.
Yeah.
It's the words. And again, sometimes it's the things that you're not even thinking about unless we go in and we do that drill down to find out, you know, it's like one phrase that a parent, a teacher said that just stayed with you and has kept you in sort of like a mind silo. That's what I like to call it, where it's like, okay, I can do this, but then this phrase keeps coming back. That, as you said, that limited mindset, where it makes you want to take a step back because you're like, well, no, because no. So again, that's why I always say, you know, my goal is to help you move from fear to living in your power, because that's what it's all centered on when we stop and think about it. There is that phrase that has, I don't want to say paralyzed you, but kind of paralyzed.
Fear. Yeah.
And it's all based off of fear from a simple phrase, a simple word, or it could be an experience, something that happened to you that has made you fearful of being your true self. And like I say, of you living in your power, because we cannot move forward with those things that just keep coming back to us. It's like you said, we have to work through it. We have to work through it. Just how do we turn this around into a positive? And it's difficult.
They're really, they're really hindrances. I mean, they're hindrances to the pathway of our life. And yes, going back to words for a moment, if we look at the great spiritual leaders of any denomination, all of them, the greatest thing they have in common for me, according to my research, is the way they spoke.
Absolutely.
Of course, 3,000 years ago when Buddha and Jesus were teaching in the world, thousands of people would come to listen to them. And it was their words that reached people, first of all. And so, we talk about language. But if you look at those examples of the purity and the compassion, self-compassion as well, of these great figures, and you realize every word that came out of their mouths was perfect. It was non-judgmental. It was non-fear producing. It was supportive. It was loving, and in the Buddhist pathway, we say, as you know, we've got no external God. We just have this image of Buddha, and the Buddha is the ultimate kindness, lovingness, encapsulated, And so we say in Buddhism, yeah, we don't have an external God, but every human being is a Buddha in the making.
Absolutely. I
In
believe that.
maybe. And so, yeah, if we really think of ourselves in that way, then there's nothing to hold us back. Things don't hold us back if we realize we are becoming this
Yes.
extraordinary being that does not injure people with words. Last week, my theme was nonviolent communication. And that's a big thing in the Buddhist pathway.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how it resonated with everybody this week. We can, if we are thoughtless, be quite violent with our speech. And that violence comes from anger. And anger is trapped inside us. And there's so much anger around at the moment, I feel, and fear as well. So, you have to really accept that you're going to work through that fear. And that anger. We can do that with the breath, as we've always said. If you take a few moments to step back and take some time to really breathe, you will be at peace with yourself, and you'll realize that once you really are at peace, and it doesn't happen overnight, it's not a quick fix, it's not a mental strategy, it's more of a physical realization, the body remembers this, then if you take that time, all that anger will dissipate, and therefore every word you say will be loving and kind and non-judgmental and non-critical and so on. That's a real challenge.
I was just about to say that. It's like, it's great, but again, we are not in a perfect world, so it will take some time. And what we have to realize also is, like, we are going to have setbacks, but we can't just let those setbacks keep us back. I think it's Willie Jolly, I think, said that. A setback is a setup for a comeback. And I've always, for some unknown reason, that has stayed with me, that one phrase. A setback is a setup for a comeback. And that is what we need to use. It's like, we need to remember that we are not perfect. We are going to fall. We are going to make mistakes. But you cannot use those mistakes to hold you where you are. Okay? You have to learn from those mistakes, and you have to continue striving. And a lot of times, like you just mentioned, we take those things and they are just so ingrained in us that it keeps us and holds us. Literally, it's like it has a stronghold on you without you even realizing it. And it's something simple. It's really, really simple. When you really do that deep dive and you realize, again, when you do that check-in with yourself to see where you are, who you are, and you're about to start creating these boundaries, this is where that self-check comes in, where you have to realize, it's like, I am not perfect. I will make mistakes, but what am I going to do with those mistakes? How am I going to learn from those mistakes and continue on? Yes, absolutely. So I love that you said that. And I admire the fact that you do those mindset 3 days 3 times a week. I was like, wow, I would love to do that, but my brain is not set up that way. I will not remember to get up for 30 minutes 3 days out of the week to help others, because again, I'm doing everything else, but our boundaries that we were just talking about, that's one of the boundaries where I set for myself. It's like, I can only do so much, and I have to stop being the people pleaser for everyone else.
Yes,
I cannot do it. So my mindfulness is about a minute to 5 minutes. I can give you some quick tips and support, and that's it. That's it.
Well, that's great. Then good things come in small bundles.
Yes, absolutely. And again, too, that's all what you just talked about is us knowing ourselves. Where we create our boundaries, we know what we can and we cannot do, and we are comfortable with it.
That's
We
important.
are comfortable
Yeah.
with that. We
Yeah.
are not, I was like, like I just told you, it's great that you can do that, but it's not me. As they
No.
say, it's not my ministry, but I know what I can do. Mine's is limited. I can do no more than 5 minutes, and that's me, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. It doesn't bother me that you can do it so much longer and you're so consistent with it. I applaud you for that.
Thank
I
you.
do. I do. I applaud you for that. But I know that's not me. That's
Mm.
not me. So, again, we have to realize when we stop, again, where we have to stop wanting to be like everyone else. We know
Yes,
that
absolutely. Good example.
everyone has their own path, and you have to find yours, and you have to stay on it, fine tune it. You make a mistake, as we say, we fall down, you get back up, and you continue on and keep on going and create those boundaries. Yeah, but stop trying to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
No.
Doesn't work. And
So,
that's where that whole burnout word comes from.
yes,
Because we're
yes,
trying
yes.
to be
So
like
other people.
everybody else and do everything for everyone else.
Yes. So just every day, just look at your fingers,
Yes.
and you'll see these unique fingerprints,
Mhm.
and that goes for the whole of you. You are
Absolutely.
utterly unique. Even identical twins don't have the same DNA.
No, absolutely not. And and I
They
found
do.
out also our
Yeah.
dogs, their nose, that's their fingerprint. A dog's
Oh,
nose.
yes, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
did not know that. I found that out, a couple of years ago, that a dog's nose is unique. Every dog nose is unique. So that's their fingerprint. And it's something that we don't even think about. It's like
No.
you have to love your skin, the skin that you're in. Love who you are because you are unique. You
Yeah,
are unique. It's like you said, even identical twins, they still have fingerprints that's unique.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah,
Work with that.
yeah,
Create that boundary about
yeah.
your uniqueness.
Yes,
Love
absolutely.
being unique.
Mm. I 100% around with you, Yeah, so, we can each find little daily reminders
Yes.
of how unique we are. And yeah, so maybe fingerprints would be one. Also, another thing to leave you with, because we'll have to wind up now.
I
Um,
know.
we're enjoying this so much. It could go on much longer, I think, but
Yes.
it's your Sabbath, so we must finish soon. But the other thing is that if you think of 8 billion people on this planet, each person has a unique breath pattern.
Yes.
So we work a lot with breathing and embodiment. And so, no two people breathe the same way because
No.
their anatomy is different. The organs are set up in a different way. It's unique. So I am always really inspired by that image of 8 billion people,
Brilliant.
each one of them breathing in a unique way. How can we ever try to be like anyone else?
Anyone, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
we need to stop falling for that trap of wanting to be
yes,
like
it's kind of
everyone.
shiny object
Yes.
syndrome, isn't it? So
It definitely is. It's like,
yeah, mm,
as I say, I want to be like Mike. No, you don't. You don't really know. Do you really know what's going on with Mike? How Mike got to where he is? What's going on with Mike? You don't want to be like Mike.
no,
You want to say great is great. I love what Mike's doing and the
yeah,
achievements he's made, but that's not for me. That's
no,
not for me. That's
no,
not
no,
for me.
that's right. So today is all about boundaries, really, and your uniqueness. So please
Yes.
have a fabulous week ahead. Remember your fingerprints, remember your
Yes.
breath passion, your voice. Your voice is unique. 8
Mhm.
billion unique voices, and each one needs to be heard in
Absolutely.
our global
Absolutely.
community.
Absolutely. And let's remember to stay focused with our boundaries
Yeah,
and our uniqueness.
yeah. Super. Marleen, thank you so much. And I'm so glad you could make it.
Absolutely.
And things are settling down. And we'll
Yes.
see you in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks,
Okay.
yes. My birthday's coming up Thursday.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll be on
Yes.
that. Don't worry.
Yes,
I'll be
yes.
sending
I'm
you
excited for my birthday. I don't know why.
virtual flowers. I'll send
Oh,
you lots of
I will
virtual-
take it. Thank you. Thank you. As
Thanks.
always, I truly enjoy our conversation. So thank you again for sharing your light and love and wisdom with us. I truly appreciate it. I really, really do.
Thank
So
you,
thank
Marleen,
you.
so much. And have a wonderful birthday.
I will. Thank
Wait.
you.
Okay. See you in a
Take care.
couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody so much for being here. And it's so great to have Marleen with us again. And she's a living example of overcoming everything, personal challenges, professional challenges. As the weeks go by, she always has a story of transcending. We can all do it. We can all do it. So please remember your uniqueness and your unique breath pattern, your unique voice. And once you've got those boundaries truly set, then you can transcend anything. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.